All right, so welcome to the first podcast of Zach and Dan here. We don't know what the name is yet. We're going to call it something special. Basically, the idea of this podcast is to, we're just going to go through a bunch of random stuff because there's absolutely no theme to this podcast. We're probably just going to talk about a whole bunch of 90s stuff. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of historical stuff because I know that's what interests Dan. We're going to talk a lot about some very interesting things. We'll see where we go for the first one. It's a little bit mixed up for the first one. But, movies, anything, Dan. Anything we could do. Say hi to the mic, Dan.
Hi.
You don't have to be that close. That's okay. So, Dan, tell us. First of all, who are you? What are you doing here? Dan is eating a Tostitos chip.
I'm chilling.
You're chilling? Where are you from, Dan? Where would you say you're from, actually? I'm from Sarnia, but I live in Ottawa. Where were you born?
I was born in Ottawa.
Whoa, really? I thought you were born in Elmer.
No.
Okay.
They don't have hospitals in Elmer.
Really? Shit. Okay, but you were born in Ottawa, but you lived in Elmer.
Yeah.
Okay. And how was Elmer?
Pretty French.
Yeah. But, okay, so what you were born... wait, did you guys, live in Elmer basically the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay. So, here's the question. Isn't there, English schools in Elmer or something? Or,
Well, yeah, but, as soon as you want to get a job...
Oh, okay, yeah. So basically when you became a teenager, it was fuck.
I wasn't even a teenager yet, but you know how, soccer leagues and karate and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
All the little things you do on the side. It's all French, and they would speak broken English. So.
And it's smaller than, Hull and Gatineau, right?
Yeah.
But there's nothing around.
No.
Is there a mall?
Well, they had, a little galleria, but it was,
What the fuck is a galleria?
Well, it,
is it
South Keys kind of thing?
Oh, like a plaza, sort of?
Okay. But you could go inside. It was before the strip malls.
So it was an indoor mall?
Yeah, but it wasn't really... It was more they had, I think they opened up... Saint Hubert.
Okay. Are you a fan of the Saint Hubert? Do you like the Saint Hubert? Yeah.
The sauce.
The sauce is amazing. What about that golden bun? Every meal they give you that bun and you could just dunk inside the gravy.
Jeez. Do you know if the Popeyes is open yet?
No.
Oh.
We're recording this. What is it today? The 20th? No.
The 17th?
17th, yeah. September 17th. Just to give the listeners a bit of a background here, on the Ottawa Reddit forum, there's a troll poster that keeps, because it's there's two locations, right? There's going to be the one on Montreal Road, and then there's going to be the one that's close to Herringate.
That's what I told Paul.
Yeah, where Herringate Mall used to be. But they're never open, and it's going to be it's coming soon. But there's a troll guy who's posting on the Ottawa Reddit forums that's always he always does these troll posts, and he creates these different accounts. Sometimes it's Popeyes Ottawa, sometimes it's Popeyes Canada, sometimes it's Popeyes Montreal Road or whatever. And he's please, thank you for your continued patience. We will open we will give you a vague statement about when we're going to open, and then the next post is going to be, please, thank you for your continued patience. We will open whenever the hell we want to. It's trying to be official, but it's not. So the answer to the Popeyes is nobody fucking knows when it's going to open.
Oh.
They said September. No, they said summer for the Montreal Road location, but it's September now, and they're not open. Have you ever had Popeyes?
No.
I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I was on a military base in Korea.
Yep.
And they had a food court. Because it's all American stuff. It's an American military base. And they had a Popeyes there. And I had just their biscuit. and it tasted like a biscuit. I'm not a big fan of chicken anyways.
Well, yeah, but it's like fast food chicken, so...
Yeah, but do you like KFC, though?
Once or twice a year.
Yeah.
But I want to try it for the sake of it's supposed to be hot, like spicy.
And it's supposed to be much better than KFC.
Yeah, well, like Louisiana versus Kentucky.
Yeah, like the Cajun style. Like,
yeah.
I want like a... My favorite at KFC was always because I'm a fucking pussy and I don't like bones and shit.
Yeah.
I like the fucking I like just like a sandwich. Just like a fucking boneless sandwich. Anything that's really convenient.
Well, you could
eat
eat a drumstick, right? Like,
yeah, I could eat bones. It's just that I prefer not to because I'm a freak. But like a chicken, chicken sandwich.
yeah.
Imagine if it was like a spicy one too. Like, that'd be amazing.
And the gravy.
Do they have gravy there?
I would imagine. Well,
spicy gravy.
oh,
Fuck. Oh. So, anyways, they had a Galleria in Elmer.
what's that?
You were the one saying
Galleria.
Galleria. I'm sorry.
Fucking malaria.
Galleria. Malaria. So they had a Galleria. What's that? Your face was so good. You're like, what the fuck is a Galleria? Got a Schmelia.
Well, it's like it's
Galleria.
like in Terminator 2. I know you haven't seen it,
I saw it once.
but when he pulls over looking for the kid, and he's asking these two girls, she goes, "You'll find him in the Galleria," and that's where he was playing that Sega game.
Okay, yeah.
The Atari Sega.
Because they used to have that. Like,
yeah,
in plazas, they used to have arcades.
yeah.
Fuck. Okay, but what did they have there then?
Well, this is also when they still had the Zeddy bears at Zeller's. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so that was
Wait,
still.
Maybe I do. Was it just a bear with a Z on his
It
chest?
had the little shirt on it.
Yeah.
And it was Well,
Okay.
that was still around. McDonald's was still originally brown or green
With the
roofing?
the white light roof kind of thing. Yeah. Okay.
and it was still plastic
Yeah.
on the I think what they had. Okay, that's the same place that opened up the Mean Gene Burger.
That you were talking. Yeah.
That was right before we left, though. That was the transition from the 80s, 90s
So
to the 90s.
I don't really know much about Mean Gene or wrestling in general, but Mean Gene is the guy that interviewed people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And why did he open a burger place?
I think he just he was retired and he wanted to do that.
Oh, he retired that early? I guess after the 80s, he just said.
Well, no, this was the late, because we moved out there 1998
Oh, to
BC.
okay, so you moved to Victoria in 98. Okay.
Yeah. The burgers were kind of a slap in the face because it wasn't really. Well, no, it wasn't you know how you got fast food that tastes like fast food,
Yeah.
and this was this tastes like something you make at home.
Yeah.
Which is if you like that, but not if you're expecting fast food.
Yeah, but have you ever been to that place at the Rito Center, the new food court, where it's kind of the same deal, they cook it in front of you and everything? Have you been to that?
I don't know. I haven't
No.
been there.
So you'd rather have a fast food burger when you go out?
Yeah.
What about a?
Well, it's just you're gonna get the same taste every time.
That's true.
A
you
Big
have
Mac.
a consistent. Yeah.
You're gonna have that.
Although I
exact
have to
same-
say, this is a complete side note here, but I fucking the Walmart Canada first time in my life.
Yeah.
I had a McDonald's that wasn't cooked.
What?
Not cooked, but undercooked. It was pink on the inside.
Did you get your money back?
No, I just said fuck it because it was only a small piece of it. But that's weird because it's all timed.
Do you have all the McDonald's cups?
I have 2.
Only 2.
Yeah. I didn't have any money left to get the other ones.
Did you get the original one from the 50s? Or the 40s? Or
the 1898 one? No. That's the one I wanted the most. That was the best one.
1898?
Yeah.
Holy shit, is that when it first came out?
No, it came out in 1886. No, 1886 or 1896. I think 1898 was the first time they used that curved bottle.
Still, man, that's old.
Yeah, it's over 125 years old, I think. Because I remember...
How do you think they came up? Was there any other soft drinks before Coke?
Oh, yeah, there was a ton of soft drinks before Coke. You know how everybody's like, oh, Coca-Cola used to put cocaine in there.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely true, and they still technically do because it's coca leaves. But all the a lot of the soft drinks at that time used to use cocaine. It was like called cocaine wine or something. Like at that time, it wasn't something that was weird.
Like everybody's narcotic.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was a narcotic, but it wasn't. That type of use wasn't considered like. Everybody wants to pick on Coca-Cola because they're like the big company that everybody wants to. But like everybody did that at that time. And it was like there used to be like cocaine tablets that were sold to like kids and stuff to relieve like headaches. There's actually, Bayer, the company that makes Tylenol.
Yeah.
They have like, I could show you later, like they have pictures of like these old things from Bayer that was used to like either cure headaches or colds or whatever, and it said right on the label heroin.
Wow.
Yeah, like they're like, I don't know. It's a weird. People use it. There used to be lithium in 7-Up.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a bunch of stuff in like.
Not laudanum, right?
I don't even know what that is.
You saw From Hell?
Yes.
You remember when he's doing his ritual and he has like the sugar cube that he would like drop in the thing?
Okay.
And he was like in the opium bars?
Yeah.
Laudanum would be like the poison that he was pouring over the sugar cube.
So it's kind of like absinthe?
Yeah, but it was like because of I don't know like all the specs, but like because of the way he like poured it, and the sugar cube being like that thick, it would kind of like in its own way like strain it, so it wouldn't be like having a teaspoon of poison.
Oh yeah, it just dilutes with the sugar,
and then mix with absinthe. So it's like
kind of
like that movie how the guy's cutting it with paint, and you're like, I'm sure you could have like a couple drops of that, and it's not going to kill you. Whereas like just pouring it all.
Yeah.
Make you like turn blind.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like back in the day, like shit was a lot more hardcore, it seems. And everybody's like, oh, the good old days. But it's like
back when acid took us to the moon.
Fuck. So anyways, you had Mean Gene Burger, it wasn't that good.
But we were given shirts.
Okay. Do you still have the shirt? Oh.
And I had shows that like it would be like something down to here.
Fuck. You could be like technically naked.
Yeah.
Underneath.
Do you remember seeing that in school? Like kids would come into school and the teacher would be like, "Are you wearing any pants? Go home." And they're like, no, because their shorts were like really short.
Yeah, and
their shirt's
like, so long now. Oh fuck.
You're mine.
So were you happy to lose that?
Yeah. Well, there was also like kind of like
I'm gonna get you, man. You can't stand there forever.
Nobody my age, like everybody was ahead of me or younger than me.
Okay.
And plus the idea that like the school I was going to, Darcy McGee High School.
Oh god, that sounds stupid.
Was in Hull.
Oh really?
So it was like the idea that like, you know how there's people I guess that live in Ottawa or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just drive to school or they take a normal bus. Even though there was a school bus to come and pick us up, it's like, this is ridiculous, that's like...
Oh, so you did have a school bus?
Yeah, but still, just...
They used to give us, in high school, they gave us passes. Like OC passes every month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sweet. Unless you had, like detention or something. Then they'd be like, you have to do your detention. And then after you finish your detention, like...
Yeah.
Your number of detention, then you get the pass or whatever.
But it's just the principle, that city's so poorly put together,
yeah,
spread out.
No doubt.
And
Ottawa's like ridiculous.
Well, just generally, even when you cross Canada, you know, because when we went out there, we went by train. And so, like, okay, we didn't pit stop in every city and, like, see the city, but just from, like, a bird's eye, it's desolate.
Yeah.
And the rumors were always, if you wanted to make money, that you go to Alberta and you save money and you come back.
But I mean, you guys kept going though. You guys went further west.
Yeah, no.
You guys went over the Rockies.
You know, the best part about that actually is my mom. I think it was in Saskatchewan or maybe further than that. Because you know how trains will stop for like 45 minutes.
Yeah. And
okay, you can go pick up groceries and you can just get out and walk around. You know what I mean? Like, so that you're not like, I don't know, isolated, and like you can just, you know, stretch your joints, whatever.
Yeah.
And she had decided to go shopping for groceries, and she's just riding my back. Come with us, come with us, come with us. And I just said no, because I knew her. I knew her too well, and I knew that if somebody says, for instance, you have 20 minutes.
Yes.
To her, that's like 40 minutes.
I was just going to say, like, they don't give you that much.
Whatever the space of time was. Sure enough, she's still shopping, and some younger woman than her that kind of befriended her on the way there, and they're just talking every other hour or whatever, had freaked out when the train started going again. Your mom didn't get on, you know, and she's like, and she's in like a frantic state, and I didn't even bother to look up at her. I just, yep, I know, I told her, and I didn't, you know. And she,
did you see her like running from the window, like, oh
no? You know what happened was, you know how like the carts have. She's like this, and she's like, she looked like just.
She looked like
a wild boar or something. and she's freaked out because she finally figured he doesn't even give a fuck. And so she goes running to the conductor or the operator and gets them to halt. And that's when I saw my mom running and, you know, grocery bags and all this shit. And I looked at her and went like, in all of the aftermath when she had calmed down and, you know, like, which would have been like a nighttime, and I just said, that's why I didn't even take you up, you know, like, because it's just, I might as well talk to a wall.
Yeah.
You know, she did the same thing actually when I came out here, and she had said she was going to give me a ride to the airport.
Yeah.
She was purposely going out of her way to go slow on the highway and just all this. What happened was when I walked into the airport, and you know, they have like I'll say like a dozen front desk people that you go and deal with.
Yeah.
Right away, they just looked at me and they said, Daniel, blah, blah, blah. Like, the plane's waiting for you.
Yeah.
Like, they actually held the plane
They
for
have
me.
to, in a way. They did that for me when I was in the States.
I was embarrassed, you know, and I look at my mother. And
yeah, because you have to run in. Everybody knows it's you. In the plane, everybody knows it's you, you know, like.
But it's just the principle, you know, like I looked at my mother and she's got like this grin on her face. Like, what do you think? I'm going to stay here so you can, you know.
Yeah.
But that was probably it. Like, it was actually really cool going on a train because they had this one cart that was probably the length of your whole home.
Yeah.
And it was topless, like it was all like plexiglass.
Oh yeah, you could see
and
like
at night and stuff, and you could see like everything. Like it was,
I guess
like,
especially if you're out in the country, you could see like all
everything.
the fucking stars.
Yeah, and it was like, and the food was better than airplane food because they had like.
I'll have to tell you this though. It depends on which airline you take.
Yeah.
You know what kimchi is?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Korean fermented cabbage or whatever. I lived in Korea, and you know I've had lots of kimchi there, from homemade restaurants and all that, the best kimchi I had was on Korean Airlines. It was like the right amount of spiciness. And normally, like, I agree with you, like, airplane food is just kind of like, it just tides you over, sort of.
Yeah.
But this was fucking amazing, and it was like the smallest dish because it was just kimchi. And I was like, fuck, this is the best kimchi I've ever had. This is kimchi. But okay, here's the difference though. Maybe it's different when you're doing a cross Canada thing, but like I used to take the train all the time from Ottawa to Sarnia to see my dad, and like it's probably been like over 8 years that I've done that. Last time I did that, and like even back then they were charging you for everything.
Yeah, well they charge. Yeah,
was it included for the cross?
No, I think it was charging.
Fuck!
Everything.
What a ripoff.
Yeah, it was 3 days and nights.
Yeah, that's that crazy. But what do you you just sleep?
Yeah, you
in your seat.
But your seats are probably like the same as a first class. Like it still sucks because you're sleeping in a seat.
But is there people behind you? Like, can you move the seat back?
You can move it back a little bit, but not like all the way.
Yeah, it's like I don't know.
Never want to do it again. Like
when I was a kid, they used to offer you like full meals.
Yeah.
And then like it started where it's like, okay, they stopped serving you the meals, but they would still give you anything to drink for any like water, juice, or soda to drink for free. Like limitless too. Like you could be like, oh, can I have like another one? And then after that, they still started charging for just drinks. And then it became only the bag of peanuts was free. And then they stopped doing that. Bag of peanuts was gone.
You want to hear something insane? I had to pay, I think it was like $3 for a pillow on the airplane.
Yeah.
And then they took it back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do that.
I couldn't.
They pay you and lend it to you, which is ridiculous. Was it Air Canada?
Yeah.
Fuck, they're like so bad right now. But anyways, Dan, we're going to switch the topic a little bit here. You're a man who's interested in history, right?
Sure.
You have questions about the Slavs. What would you like to know about the Slavs? Because I don't know too much about the Slavs. But we have an interactive map here. We'll go back to your history later in the next podcast episode, because we're going to record 70 million of these, upon which only one person will listen. But now we're into the Slav section. Maybe we could call this podcast Slavcast. Enter the Slav.
Where did they come from?
See, I don't know. Here's my idea. The Slavs. This is all I know about the Slavs, is that they're like the main ethnic group of like Eastern Europe / Northern Europe. Because you remember that one time when we checked on Wikipedia, which is where we do all of our research, it's the most reliable source of information. The Slavs, the Slavs are like separated into like, now at least, are separated into like 3 main groups. So there's like Northern Slav, which would be like Baltic states, like our buddy Petras Selyanka's Lithuania. There's also like Estonia and all that. But I mean, it's not like they're full Slav. There's like traces of Slavism. Oh fuck, this is gonna be like the most politically incorrect podcast ever. So anyways, and then there's like Eastern Slav. But I think like Northern would also be considered parts of like Ukraine / Russia. Because they have like Slavic influence, sort of like in language and like culture and all that. But then there's also like South Slavs. So like Croats, Montenegro, Bulgaria.
Well, you know what I've heard actually from a big debate is that Slavic is like basically all of Croatia, all of like eastern southern,
yeah,
and only that, And the rest, like Ukraine and Russia, which is basically the same people, is actually Finno-Ugric.
What it? Finn what?
Finn... Uyghur, I don't
oh,
know how to say it,
Uighur,
yeah.
Uyghur, or
Yeah.
Wigger. I know what you mean, though.
But that's what I've been told, and because like it even showed up on my gene test, they said that you have Finno-Ugric, whatever blood.
You have Finno-Wigger blood.
Yeah. And so that actually makes sense because there's a world of difference when you think of, like, for instance, Croatia, Romania,
Yeah.
Hungary.
Yeah.
None of those people have anything in common with, like, Russia and Siberia.
Yeah.
And so...
But you do have an interest in background, though, right?
Oh.
Like, just in general. Like, we're going straight into the Slav topic here. I know I just kind of hit you with the Slav topic. But yeah, you're just kind of, in general, interested in, like, I could completely understand that because, like, I'm interested in history too, Dan. Now, do you want to go through this interactive map so we could see some of the history of the Slavs?
Let's find out the facts.
Yeah, let's not fucking ramble on about the Wiggers. Okay, so we have an interactive map here at www.worldology.com/Europe/Europe history. Well, /Europe_history_LGHTM. Now, we're going to click here because there's a whole bunch of like little there's a whole bunch of like little, I guess this is pre. Okay, so we have the Slavs here.
Yeah.
So this is before 900 BC.
So that would be like before the Ice Age?
No. That would be about 3,000 years ago.
That's it?
Yeah. So 3,000 years ago in Europe, Slavs. Let's see what it says here. The Proto-Baltic Slav culture and language spread south into modern Ukraine, evolving into a new culture/language known as Slavic, given birth to the Slav peoples, the forefathers of most Eastern Europeans. So basically, like, like modern Croat, Montenegrin,
Yeah.
Serbian, Albanian, probably, like a whole bunch, but it's all kind of like different sections of it. Where was I? Slavs are the primary ancestors to Russians, Belarusians, Ukrainians, Poles, former Yugoslavians, so like a bunch of different countries now, and partial ancestors to Bulgarians, Romanians, and Albanians.
Huh.
So they are like the genesis of like a bunch of stuff.
So they'd be like the Celts to those people.
Yeah, Celt to like kind of like more Western Europe. Like Celt was more like France and then eventually Britain and like parts of Spain and all that.
Yeah.
But then like, yeah, so if you check this map out, like you could, yeah. So you could like, you could go to like 900.
Go to Finnic for a second. Just let's see what it says.
So Finnic peoples are primarily inhabitants of northeast Europe, including modern Finland, Estonia, and northwest Russia, most populated region of modern Russia. So yeah, like basically like I guess like Moscow.
Because
like, sort of like
you know what's wrong with it? Well, I guess it's because it's current, but Sweden controlled them for 500 years.
Yeah, you'll see actually on this map, like if we go later, it says like Swede was like controlling the Slavs.
Well, like, they also apparently like mingled the hell out of that people.
Like had sex with a bunch of them?
Well, just mingled the whole gene pool. So
fuck yeah. So Slavs at this point, 750 BC.
Yeah.
A group of Slavs migrates westward to modern southern Poland, becoming the predecessor of modern Poles.
Okay.
Ooh. See, now we're still in BC territory here, Dan. By the 3rd century AD, Slavs centered around Kiev, Ukraine, begin to develop a distinct Slav culture and language. They also start to expand modestly in all directions. So, you know, technically our, I'm not going to say their names, but our boys there, the brothers from Slovakia.
Oh, yeah.
They have Slav. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like... And here's the thing, though, like, I'm not really familiar with a lot of, like, kind of like this ancient history. But, like, I know that there was a lot of also, like, later on, like, say, from, like, sort of like the Roman period. So after, like, BC, after the Caesar period, like, in the... like the year like 400 or something, a lot more Germanic tribes started to like fuck around. Like the Goths, the Visigoths, and the Ostrogoths started to come down and like cause shit all the time. So like Eastern Russia or Eastern Europe is also kind of mixed with that sort of influence of, you know, Germanic cultures.
I had no idea that these were considered different people.
What, Swedes and Norse?
Yeah.
Well, different, like,
Tribes?
but they obviously share, like, linguistic or cultural similarities.
Huh.
What about, okay, so at this time, oh no, we already saw that. So if we move a bit closer, see, yeah, this is what I'm talking about here. So by 235 to 490 BC, the Visigoths, Ostrogoths, Franks, Vandals, and all that, they start like coming down and like attacking Roman lands because Rome tried to like expand here a little bit more, like go north of Italy and like go to like France and Spain and all that. But then the Germanic tribes started to come down and fight with them. But then the Slavs. So, Slav tribes become geographically isolated. So they're starting to get shut off. I think because of like mountain ranges and stuff, they were like less willing to like cross over.
Yeah.
Like the Germanic tribes were like less willing to like want to like actually do war campaigns in like lands that they couldn't really reach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so isolated in spacious plains of Eastern Europe. No recorded history during this time, as was the case with other Slav peoples. That's probably not true. This is just a bit of like a really simple map. I'm sure there's recorded history, but... So that's what we have so far. So technically you have Slav, right? I guess.
Well, what it said was that N, the N gene pool, is basically here.
Okay.
And I subgroup N.
You're talking about all that like haplogroup bullshit?
Yeah,
okay.
like alphabetically.
Fuck, if only we could understand that better. Like
that's kind of what I understood with this guy's like chart of.
Oh, so yeah, because he knows what it means.
Yeah, and
we're just like,
he gave lists of family names and how they all like go to this letter, and it was in pairs of 3.
Okay.
And then it would be like these 3 names go to this letter, you know, like this letter in the alphabet of Apple. Because, you know, my question was if it was Asian, like Orient.
I'm sure there is some Asian influence in terms of like it's there's like Turkic groups, and like Turkic / like sort of Central Asia. So maybe like where.
Well, what exactly is Central Asia?
Well, I would think like maybe now where Kazakhstan is and like Turkmenistan sort of region.
So that
like,
isn't Orient.
No, not Far East. That's what I'm saying. It'd be like Central Asia, but not like China / like not like Japan or like anything like that. But I mean, later on, obviously, like you know this, that like like Mongol tribes were going all over the place.
Yeah, well, that's what I'd been told by one Norwegian guy is that with a brush of like those roots or genes, you get Orient influence, like from that.
Far Orient?
Well, Orient, Mongol, or whatever you want to call it, because I mean, there's also Tartar, right? That I wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
But
Tartar sauce.
I'm just I'm just like, assuming Orient, because in a sense they're so mixed by now that they're pretty much the same people, just in higher, lower, percentages. Like I just recently found out about China's older flag with all the bars representing each tribe.
Yeah. How many bars are there?
I want to say there was 10.
Okay. Because they have because China's so big, they have I think 47 different minority groups or something. Like 47 main different minority groups that are not Han Chinese.
Yeah. Well,
Han is the main.
Yeah.
And then.
But, I just thought it was really fucking interesting.
Well, we haven't solved the Slav question yet. Should we continue? Really? Or save it for another podcast?
Finish it off, I guess.
Finish it off? How are we going to finish it off? Do you understand how long history is, then?
We'll finish off this podcast.
Oh, we've still got more to go, Dan. We've got lots more to go. Unless you really want to stop.
We'll keep going.
Okay. I think it would be actually interesting to... Can you, could you, maybe send me that? That thing you were talking about with the haplo groups?
Yeah.
Oh, but does your thing... It doesn't work, right?
What do you mean?
The computer?
Well, I use my PS4, so...
Well, you can't send it. Oh, it's on...
Because when you go
Facebook?
to your... No, when you go to your YouTube account, it's in a message.
Oh, it's sent through YouTube, okay.
Yeah, so I could
Is it like Google Plus or whatever? Like all that type of... Because I don't know how YouTube messaging works anymore.
Well, it'd just be like, when you have a video, if I leave a comment...
Yeah.
And you respond to that comment, it shows up in
But
your
is
mailbox.
it as a comment?
Yeah. And then when I clicked it, it was a link with this chart, and it was like a miniature bar that took forever to get to the bottom because it was like miles. It was like toilet paper's worth of that's what I meant when I was like, I have no idea what
That's the thing. It's like fucking. Think how complicated that is to just remember, or just to kind of know generally all that genealogy.
I only understood it when I started seeing things that I already knew, and then when I figured, okay, these are all people from this country, and start looking at names.
Yeah,
because I know the name, I know it was spelled really long, and then as soon as I kept scrolling and scrolling, and then I saw it, and I was like, whoa. And 3 different, there's 2 other names of families, and they all stem to this, and that's when I was just like, wow, this guy just broke it down. This is why this trace of that shows up, and how I told you there's French, German, and something else in the mix, but on have you seen my 23andMe thing?
You showed me a little bit of it.
It's broadly Northern European.
Yeah.
Now, nobody can break that down, what that means.
Yeah.
Broadly, and then...
well, I mean, we just went through, how many fucking groups did, the Slavs influence? It's how do you fucking know there's so many, small, like, you know.
And so, anyways, like, even though it's only like at a 13% with me, when I was connected with that guy in LA, Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
And he told me that the only relationship is Swedish between us. And when I looked at his wheel, because he's like half Swedish, and then like his mother's related to me. When I looked at his wheel, and he's got Yakut, East Asian, Native, and East Asian.
Okay.
But it's in slivers.
Yeah.
So that means that's like from probably 500 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why it's in slivers by now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Dan, we're going to move on from history to a little bit more recent. I've got some news articles here that I thought would interest you. Okay? I'm just going to go through the titles here. All right. What about this? Historian understood to have found the first word of the use fuck in 1310. English court case. Did you think it was that old? Now listen to this. An historian believes that he may have found the earliest recorded use of the word fuck in the English language where its meaning carries a clear sexual connotation. Hidden within court records from 1310 concerning a man named Roger fucked by the navel.
That's his name?
Dr. Paul Booth, a former lecturer in the medieval history and an honorary senior research fellow in history at Keele University, made the accidental discovery in a set of Chester County court documents from September 1310 while researching the period of Edward II. Dr. Booth told Mail Online that just eating the Tostitos right in front. Dr. Booth told the Mail Online that when he first came across the case of Roger fucked by the navel, he thought the moniker was a nickname dreamed up by a court clerk as a joke. However, the name was repeated clearly 3 times, and I think that shows it is not a joke. Either it refers to an inexperienced copulator, referring to someone trying to have sex with the navel, or it's a rather extravagant explanation for a dimwit, someone so stupid they think that this is the way to have sex. Can you imagine that?
That was literally his family name.
I think it must have been a joke.
Fucked by the navel.
But it's like, that's the thing. Nobody... Maybe at that time, since it's like the earliest record, like, fuck doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's like...
How did it come around? Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
The word fuck comes from English.
Yeah.
It's not from German. It's not from any other Germanic.
Creation.
And even other countries borrowed it from England.
Yeah.
So...
But... I don't know how old it is.
How it even became a cursing word is a mystery.
Fuck by the navel, though. Can you fuck by the navel? That's impossible. It's like people try to find any hole. That's not even a hole. What if you have an Audi? Oh, God. Oh, what about that, then? Oh, God. Good? No?
Yeah.
But that does not take away the significance of the word fuck in the name, he says. But that's not all, Dan. I got some more articles here. What about this? I'm just going to read you the... You know, don't even look at the title. I'm just going to read it to you.
Oh, the salt.
Oops. German headmistress blurts out Sieg Heil during relay school race at school.
Is this current?
Oh, yes. This is from the New York Daily News on March 5th, 2014. So a year ago, a little bit more. A headmistress in Germany is in trouble for shouting out the Nazi greeting Sieg Heil to her pupils at a school race. The junior high educator said that she blurted out the phrase, which means Hail Victory, by accident. Saying the phrase with or without the stiff-arm Nazi salute is illegal in almost all circumstances in Germany. Isn't that weird?
Well, she must have been excited.
She must have summoned some type of demons inside of her to be like, oh! It's exactly... They have a picture here of fucking Peter Sellers from Doctor Strangelove when he's doing the Sieg Heil. She must have been inspired somehow. But what do you think about how it's illegal?
Well, I think they just want to, like, forget what happened and you know, try and move on. But,
so how do you say, how would you say? Because that means, like, Hail Victory. Would you just say Heil? Wouldn't that still be bad? Like...
No, I don't think it's bad. I think in a sense, too, that all nations have, you know, become more concerned with what anyone else has to say or think about them. And
yeah, especially in the case of Germany.
Well, when you think about it, they're the youngest nation to create some kind of war or terrible history. When you look at any other country,
yeah,
it's done the same thing, but just further back, so it's not even, you know, sought after as a terrible thing anymore.
Now, here's something I was going to talk about. Maybe we could talk about this more in detail about in like a future episode. But wouldn't you agree that, like, obviously what Hitler did was fucking crazy and insane.
Of course.
But, like, Stalin, didn't he kill like twice the amount?
I've actually thought about that, and to this day, it's not offensive to have a hammer and sickle, or to say Stalin, or to have anything to do with Stalin.
It's like there's this weird stigma against Hitler.
I think it's just based on the fact that, well, they won, and they really only treated their own like shit.
You mean Russians?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Eastern Europe, but you know, in the sense their own.
I mean, like, they had, like the pogroms, like the concentration, or like the Jewish kind of prisons, sort of. It's, like, equally as bad. It's just, there's not that, like, kind of, like, I don't know. It's weird. It's like nobody...
Well, I think it's because they didn't go around taking Europe captive, whereas the Germans...
Yeah, it's like, oh, Germany was the villain. And, like, technically the U.S. was allied with Russia, even though after they were, like, worst enemies. But I guess that was okay?
Well, you know what? That's also American propaganda. I mean, nobody will ever... you know, put in our textbooks, or theirs, I should say, even, that the reason Americans went to the moon was due to Nazi scientists.
Explain.
Well, that rocket and everything that went into the rocket was actually designed
by
as
German
a missile.
Scientists.
Yeah, it was designed as a missile, headed towards North America, in fact. And then on top of that, nobody... textbooks or standard history would teach that all of the funding to Hitler was American.
Not all, but a lot, yeah.
More than 60%. Likewise, the funding that's going on now with ISIS.
Yeah, but that's more like not really U.S. That's more like CIA, like... That's more like out of control. Because CIA is like, nobody controls them. You know what I mean? It's like they can do whatever. They're not controlled by the government, and they just get like...
Do Jews run the United States?
Oh, God. Do they? I don't know, Dan. Do they run the United States? I'm sure there's some people that are of Jewish ancestry that run.
No, I just mean, like, you know, above the politicians.
There are some really powerful like Jewish lobbying groups because like that's why the U.S. still supports Israel because there's such like a powerful like there's just like a lobby that can like influence Congress to like vote in favor of Israel all the time.
Well, I'm also curious
really know
due
much
to the
about
fact that like when you think that all the big money that went in during the founding, if that's what you want to call it, even though it wasn't founding, of the United States of America would have been Jewish. If you look back at the names of all the biggest, you know, organizations, companies, families, probably of Jewish descent. Not just Hollywood, though. You know,
which founding of the states are we talking about? Like
when it started to boom.
Okay, you don't mean like when it began.
But when it started to boom and the wheels turn, you know, this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of like powerful Jewish families.
That's what I mean. When you were like up to this day, wouldn't their ancestry still be there technically?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's weird. Okay. One more news article. We briefly went through the Zeke Kyle thing. I guess she Okay, here, before we go on. How am I supposed to plausibly stop my pupils from using Nazi slogans when our boss is leading the way in them? But anyways, we'll move on to another. We'll move on to one last article, then we got one last thing here, Dan. All right, so here you go. Last news article. Woman discovers boyfriend of 2 years is woman when she removes blindfold during sex. Oh, baby. I don't know how you can't go without noticing.
Talk about submissive.
Okay. Woman has blindfolded sex with male cancer patient ashamed of scars. So I'm guessing this woman, I guess, is all covered up. Before discovering it is female friend using prosthetic penis.
How could you not tell whether or not it's real?
That's what I was thinking. It's like, she obviously can't tell it's not a man because the woman is probably all bandaged up, right? But how could you not tell the penis is fake? If it's a prosthetic, like...
Was this like a she-male?
No, it says it's her friend. So a woman told police her disbelief when she discovered that her boyfriend of 2 years was a female friend. So she's been fucking somebody for 2 years and it was her friend the whole time. The complainant said she thought she was having sex with a man called Kai Fortune. K-Y-E? Kai? Kie Fortune?
K-Y-E?
Yeah. I guess Kai, maybe.
Yeah.
Who was recovering from a brain tumor and did not want her to see his scars. But she claims she eventually discovered it was in fact her 25-year-old friend, Gail Newland, who had persuaded her to wear a blindfold throughout their sexual encounters in which a prosthetic was used. Newland of Willaston, Cheshire, is on trial at Chester Crown Court, where she denies 5 counts of sexual assault between February and June 2013. So
where was this?
So Cheshire, somewhere in London, somewhere I think it's like west of London, England. I think. I don't know exactly where.
So
Cheshire County.
They just had sex and then departed.
No, apparently it was going on for 2 years.
No, they just had encounters and then went their own ways.
Yeah, I guess.
So
So the court hears that the alleged victim received a Facebook friend request in 2011 from a Key Fortune who purported to be half Filipino, half Latino, young man. They communicated online, and Key later told her that he had been involved in a car accident before medics found he had a brain tumor. He was having treatment in the hospital and is not well enough to see her. The complainant told police in a video, blah, blah, blah. The pair spoke frequently on the phone and said that Key's voice was high-pitched. There's your fucking first clue right there. He was saying how much I had helped him through his illness. It was a sign. We should get married. We should have kids.
Oh my
we
God.
were going to do all sorts of things. During this time, the complainant said she met Newland, who became a really good friend, and said she knew Key. So, the person impersonating Key, or Kai, or whatever,
Keystone,
is saying that she's a friend of Key's, while still being a friend with the girl.
Whoa!
So it's
Are they just like naive for their own sakes, or
I guess maybe this could be some type of like elaborate ruse to like fool.
No, but I mean, you would in a sense have to be like willing to go along with that for the sake of getting off, I guess.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the girl who faked it.
Yeah.
Ooh. She told police the only stipulation that Kai made was that she wear a blindfold because he was anxious about the way he looked and could not walk properly due to nerve and muscle damage. The woman said Kai was in the bathroom when she entered the hotel room and the bed was covered in rose petals and Hello Kitty bears. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. The complainant said she put on the blindfold of a sleeping mask and scarf, and that shaking Kai came in and said he had signed himself out of a private hospital in Manchester. So he's like, oh, baby, I've managed to escape. Now let's do it, I guess. Or signed himself out. The pair then had sex, she alleges, in which Newland is alleged to have used a prosthetic penis before Kai, in parentheses, said he had to return to the hospital.
Was there any foreplay?
Oh, probably not. Let's do it right now. Further hotel visits followed, where she said sex took place again before Kai visited her flat and finally uncovered the truth. Describing what she said was her last sexual encounter before she went to the police, she said, "When I was having sex, I grabbed for the back of his head, and my hand got caught on something. It did not feel right. I was sat on the bed. He was standing up. Something in my mind said, pull it, the blindfold, pull it off, pull it off. I just pulled it off. Gail was just standing there. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Straight away, she had her hand down over her face and said, 'It's not what you think.'" You don't seem too pleased about this.
Well, I don't know. I guess, for their own sakes, it's good with all the disease that's rampant out there. But let's be honest. Like, the last news article I read, I don't know if it was 6 months ago or almost a year ago, but there were a handful of women from the UK that wanted to go down to the Islamic countries and...
From the UK?
Yeah. And take up ISIS, join with ISIS. And in the aftermath, I guess when, reality hit the... when they figured out what they got in, they wanted to come back home, and I don't know if it's the leaders or whoever's in charge of that kind of thing had strictly stated, you left, you're gone.
But they actually went? to like Syria, Iraq, or whatever.
I think it was in no less than a week they were pregnant.
Oh yeah, well that doesn't surprise me.
But you know what I mean? So it's like just right there, that kind of mentality, and you know,
yeah,
you see something similar here where, what you know, like, it makes me proud to live in the West and hear about murders and rock houses and old fashioned red light district shit, whereas you're just hearing about twisted Coronation Street
exactly.
style.
This is they should do that. They should have an episode on Coronation Street where it's just like a prosthetic penis is used with bandages on your face. Coronation Street.
That's, you know.
Oh God, it's beautiful. I think we should go to England. Film our next podcast in England.
I don't know if I'd want to go there.
No.
It's.
What about the castles? What about Cammy's stage?
Did you know that the UK has actually been stated number 2 in the world for STDs?
That wouldn't surprise me either. Number 2, who's number 1?
Sweden.
Oh yeah. Who's number 3? Do you have the list in your mind?
I just watched a video like not a week ago with at least the top 10.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get to that.
But no, I'd be real uneasy in England because, you know, it's just, from what I've heard, you know, and I'm sure there's a lot of clean and good stuff about it when you have the money.
Yeah.
But
it's expensive.
I've heard that generally speaking, the slum is as slum can get. Bed bugs.
They do have some pretty crazy ghetto places,
you know,
in London.
So, and just also, you know, their culture. Their you go to a grocery store and what they eat versus
Tesco's.
what we eat, and you know, just
a lot of tea.
Well, I know that they'll take instead of butter, they use lard, and they'll put that on. And this is not they as in abroad, but you know, the working poor, I guess. They'll take lard and they'll use it as a base in their frying pan, and then they'll put it on their toast instead, the same way we put butter or margarine on toast.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
And you know,
maybe if you're used to it,
it's just like one example of the culture shock that I probably couldn't deal with. But then again, I'm sure that's just like, you know, working poor or people like, you know, that grew up with like liver and onions for breakfast.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like if it's all you could afford,
yeah,
and you get used to it, it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
Would you ever try haggis?
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried haggis?
No.
Okay.
But I'm sure it would be good, like, because it's, you know, so spiced up.
It's basically, isn't it just like sort of what a sausage would it technically be anyways?
Well, a sausage is more of the trim right off of meat, so it's... But yeah, technically. Like a hot dog would be the closest thing.
What do they put in haggis?
Lungs, liver, and heart of the sheep.
What are all the spices?
Oh, I would imagine, well, especially nowadays, you could get anything like hot, mild, blah, blah, blah. But it is the stomach, and that's the only thing.
Spicy haggis.
They boil it in the stomach, and that, to me, is the grossest thing.
Yeah, that's... Well, I mean, that's what everybody gets turned off by. They're like, oh...
But I'm sure it's really good because, you know, by the time it's all said and done and cooked, right? Like... Because, I mean, I would eat tripe if it's done
yeah,
right.
And plus if you're not told...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, some people would just eat, and then if they're told, they'll be like, fuck!
Well, I would want to try that Carl crap. The fermented shark and...
I heard shark is really chewy.
And the other one there, the sheep's head. And just for the sake of trying it though, and And I think that just destroys a haggis. So.
Well, we're not going to talk about that story anymore. Before we wrap this up, Dan, I want you to reach your hand into the holy, into that box. That Kleenex box. It's filled with topics. Pick out one. And we're going to do a top 10 list of whatever this is. What is it? What does it say? What is it? Top 10 pizza places. Okay, pick another one. We can't talk about that now because we're... Top 10 superheroes! This is terrible! Alright. No, we have to do it. We'll do it quick, though. Top 10 superheroes. For me, it doesn't have to be in order. But for sure, top 10 superheroes, Batman's up there. For me. I would put Batman up there. I would put Wolverine there. I would put Nightcrawler. Gambit. It's like going to be all X-Men. Okay, so I've got 4. I would also put maybe... you remember Puck? Do you remember that episode of X-Men where it was like Alpha Force or Alpha Team or something? And it was like the Canadian X-Men. And there was like Sasquatch, the French-Canadian twins, Captain Canuck or something. I remember that, and there was a short guy called Puck. And he did like kind of like a Blanca ball. Like you would do like the cannonball type thing. I'd put Puck in my list just because he's Puck. And who else? Who would you put? I've only got 5, but would you put Batman? Would Batman?
Okay, well, how about you do 5 villains now?
Okay, 5 villains. Joker. Joker right away. Oh, okay. Okay, I don't know if you'd consider him a villain or not, or a hero, but Deadpool would be in there.
What was he from, though, his show?
He's like... See, I don't really know much about comics, but I don't know why I put this in the fucking list then. He's like... I don't know if it was X-Force, but he was like a test subject that did the same testing as... What's his face? Wolverine. Like that whole Project X or whatever. So he had like cancer or something, and then they put him through that test, and then they I don't know what that is. Oh my god, I don't know what you're doing. You're fingering. You're doing finger signs. What's going on?
Night Stalkers. What about Night Stalkers? I'm shocked.
What's Night Stalkers?
The game.
Darkstalkers?
Isn't it Night Stalkers or Dream
Stalkers?
Stalkers?
There's Darkstalkers Night Warriors.
Okay.
But that doesn't count. They're not superheroes.
Are you sure about that?
I'm talking about like comic book superheroes. If it was like...
Are you sure they're not in a comic?
Yeah, they're in a manga and anime, but they're not like superheroes. I'm talking about like comic book heroes.
So strictly Western comics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why, you want to put like Goku or something? Like,
if you want, you know. Like, would you consider oh my god, what the name? Astro Boy to be a hero?
Yes. Alright, I'll put Astro Boy in there.
But I've never seen a comic or anything other than this TV show, and I mistook it for fucking Mega Man.
Well, it started as a manga. Before it was a show.
Astro Boy.
Oh, man.
So how many is that?
Well, Deadpool. So, but do you know who you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, he kind of looks like Spider-Man.
Ninja, like?
Yeah.
He's got like the swords. If it was also like Batman villains, holy fuck, I would put like...
If you had to choose one guy from Batman, who would it be? Ultimately?
A villain?
Yeah.
Well, Joker's like the obvious choice.
Yeah, but you already nailed him.
Okay, well, other than that, like, I really like... I really liked the Riddler when I was a kid. I don't know why. Because he's like, not that cool. But like... Killer Croc was also really cool. You remember Killer Croc?
I don't remember.
Oh, fuck, man. It's like you used to watch the old animated series, right?
I watched the one with Adam West.
Okay.
And then I watched the one I did watch was, do you remember Batman Rise of the Phantom or Phantasm?
Oh fuck, I
saw that in the theaters.
Yeah.
And I was following the show that was from. So that
yeah,
was
that's the animated series.
But that's not old. That's like
that's
X-Men
1990. Yeah.
Okay,
it's like 1991.
Older
No, that one.
Okay.
Killer Croc was in that one. He would like go in the sewers and he'd be like, sometimes he would come out, but like Batman used to have to fight him in the sewers, and he was just like a big guy that was sort of like he didn't really look like a crocodile, but he had like crocodile teeth and his skin was kind of fucked up.
Okay.
Like scaly sort of. That guy was cool. And I've always really liked the Scarecrow.
Yeah, the Scarecrow, well, just generally speaking, kind of scary.
Do you remember that episode where he puts the like powder, the like hallucination powder in the football player's helmet?
No.
Oh.
How many more characters?
Oh, well, I'm done.
That was 10?
Well, if it was five villains, five superheroes.
Well, yeah, okay, so it's 10.
And Wendigo. Remember Wendigo from X-Men?
What did
you remember that old arcade, the 6-player arcade game?
Okay, yeah.
And then you maybe it was like the 5th level, and then you go down to like this. You're in the jungle level, and then you go down to like you fall, and then you're kind of like near a cave.
Yeah.
And then he's like Wendigo, and he comes out, and he's just like he kind of looks like Sabretooth, but like a full beast kind of like.
I was just talking to somebody a while back, and I was, reminiscing of what you would do before you buy a home if you had all sorts of money and stuff that you could put into it, and just pinball machines in an arcade room, and just, the only real flaw is the fact that you have to stand.
Yeah, but you could get stools.
It's just not the same, though, as being on, like, a lazy boy.
Playing an arcade on a lazy boy? Remember, you have to be, like, stretched out. Like...
I guess that's what it's like to drive a chopper.
Oh, God. Oh, fuck. All right, what about you, Dan? Top 5. First, what comes to your mind first? Is Batman up there?
Heroes?
Yeah.
Well, here's a question. Would you consider Freddy Krueger a hero?
I would say he's definitely a villain.
Okay, but
didn't he rape didn't he molest kids or something? Isn't that the story?
He killed all the children. So,
but wasn't he a child molester? And then they burned him or something, or
no, he was just a child killer.
Oh, okay. I don't know where I got the molesting from.
Well, you see, that's another thing. Michael Jackson's a hero to many people, but he was also a child molester.
Allegedly, Dan. Allegedly.
Oh.
Leave the poor man alone.
Heroes.
Is Batman up there?
No.
Batman's not up there? In your top 5?
I'd have to go...
he could be number 5. He doesn't need to be number 1.
He's not
up there? He's like the only one that I would for sure.
I'd have to go left wing and say Iceman.
Okay. Did you use him in Children of the Atom? Ice Beam! Ice Beam!
Yeah, I did. That and the fact that the Juggernaut was in there.
Okay, because he was huge.
Float to that game,
yeah.
Yeah. So Iceman, and then definitely the Human Torch.
Okay.
Nobody ever talks about him.
Well, it's because when I think Human Torch, I always think right away Cinder.
Well, yeah, same thing.
It's the exact same thing.
Definitely Spawn, if not first.
Oh, I didn't even think of Spawn.
He's the most... And the fact that he's a bro. That's unheard of.
But is he also, is he considered... Is he good? I've never...
Yeah, he's good. He's just...
Because he's from hell, right?
He's covered in evil, and then he,
But he does good.
Yeah, he decided to fight against them.
You know who played him in the movie was the guy, Michael Jai White or whatever? The guy who was in the Dark Knight.
I didn't know that was him. He's older now.
Yeah, he was the gangster Gamble in Dark Knight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But he's like a stunt guy, I think, before. That's how he started out. He was like a stunt performer. So, Iceman and Human Torch and Spawn.
For number 4.
What about Wolverine?
If it was a bigger list, like I like them, but X-Men's kind of, I would have to lean towards more like
Morph?
No, comics that didn't kind of like commercialize that hardcore. Like Fantastic Four is like more of a not as successful.
Yeah.
As
I don't know if you saw any of the movies.
No, I heard they were. I'm not too worried about them.
Yeah.
But
see, we're talking about this.
Out of X-Men, probably Colossus, just based on the fact that, you've got like the Thing, you've got Hulk, and then you've got Colossus. Well, at least being the adamantium steel is like above all, comparing it to concrete, rock.
Hard, yeah.
Or just muscle,
Okay, here's it's funny that I put this even in the box because we're not even comic book people. We don't even give a fuck. But what was I going to say about not? Oh yeah, did you like Omega Red?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned Colossus. Yeah, he was the bad guy. Because I remember in the Children of the Atom games you had Colossus.
Yeah.
And then I guess his because they were both from Russia, his counterpart or whatever was Omega Red, and I guess Wolverine too.
Yeah, his arch enemy.
Yeah, because they were always fighting in Russia or something. But he was cool, especially in that game. He had the tentacle.
Well, things. I remember him too vaguely in the series.
Yeah, in the show.
And
he showed up
big.
Once or twice.
He was a lot bigger than you would think,
How do you feel about Superman? Boring as fuck?
I think the only hero I could really accept is Spider-Man, and especially scrapping all of the Marvel movies, just based on the fact that Spider-Man's so unique and not untouchable.
Yeah.
But just acrobatic. And the DNA blending is the most realistic,
With the spider? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Theory, which, especially where society's going with all the strange stuff they're doing, But just totally unique. And then the fact that it wasn't over the top, watching over the city as much as, just kind of a guy that would be around.
Yeah, if ever there's a robbery or whatever. I guess, would he be in your top 5? Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Because he was sort of like an everyman, too.
Yeah.
Just kind of basic.
Yeah, it was opposite of the billionaire dream Bruce Wayne. And
but that's the thing about Bruce Wayne that's so good, is that he's rich, but that's not really him. You know what I mean? That's not his mentality. That's just a ploy. Well, I mean, he is rich, but he doesn't use it. That's kind of like a mask to him.
Yeah.
Sort of.
But that's what I mean, that I liked more about Spider-Man. It wasn't that everything was built for money.
Yeah.
It was a more of a possible logic. And then Superman, of course you like them, but again, there's only one thing that can possibly phase him.
Yeah, that's why I hate Superman.
To the point that it's just this is not even worth it,
See, if it was any superheroes, I'd put Hayden Christensen up there. I'm kidding, of course. What about villains? Joker, is he up there?
No.
Okay, how do you feel about X-Men villains? Were you a fan of Mr. Sinister?
No.
What about Magneto?
Really, no.
What about Juggernaut?
Yeah, I did like Juggernaut. Until I became aware of the apocalypse.
Okay.
And that kind of like put him on the back burner because the apocalypse was like a glorified sentinel.
But do you like Apocalypse?
Yeah.
Okay, because I just, going back, I don't think I did finish my list. Apocalypse, when I was a kid, would be number one. Remember when you first saw him in that X-Men vs. Street Fighter game?
Yeah.
And he had the buzzsaw?
Yeah. But just even in the show, I remember when they kind of revealed him and the fact that it was only one guy's arch enemy seemed totally outnumbered because of the fact that it was just so... Yeah, no, I just thought he was, fearsome beyond,
is it just me
overpowered?
Yeah, can he not, like, change into other people? Like, morph into different people?
I don't think he could do that, but I know that he was capable of, changing his weapons for himself,
Yeah, because he was all, like, metal-y.
Yeah. It'd be like, in a sense, like a T-1000, except for, taking other people's shapes.
Mm.
I wasn't sure either if he could mimic their
powers?
abilities, But I do remember that the only spot that you could attack him was the Achilles tendon.
Oh, really? I thought there was something in the back of his neck or something.
It was the back of his foot because I remember that specifically just because I wasn't even aware of the Troy story and the Achilles tendon. That's what led that towards all that.
They stole that from X-Men.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I had. Hey, Mom, Dad,
They took that story from Apocalypse.
But how many was that so far? 5?
I don't know, but what about Spider-Man villains?
For Spider-Man's villains?
Remember the Shocker? The guy who looked like a pineapple?
Electro?
No, not Electro. He was cool, though. Except his stupid fucking hat.
His
like the electricity hat, yeah. Shocker was the guy who had, like... He looked like a pineapple. Like, he was, like, yellow with, like, lines all over. And...
Oh, I remember
he had,
that
like,
guy.
He had things. Like, it wasn't
he
powers.
Had the weird, like...
Yeah, he had, like, a...
He'd be similar to Pyro, then, like...
Yeah.
He wasn't...
But it was, like explosions or something, I think. Like, he shot explosions.
No, I think for villains with Spider-Man, it would have to be Venom.
Okay, yeah.
Right off the bat, because it was, just this... Well, I really like the character Eddie Brock more than anything, and I can't even explain why. And then Carnage, Cassidy. It's just like giving the same disease to a psychopath.
You remember in the Spider-Man show, did Carnage ever show up in that?
He did, but like once or twice towards the end of it, I think. And that's the thing. Carnage was such an unknown character because, it was... I'm probably in the comics, it went on and on, but like the video game, for instance, Maximum Carnage.
Yeah, I never played it.
That was there were so many other symbiotes.
Was that the red cartridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was there was this. I have no idea any of the names of them, but there was like a green one, for instance.
I would have liked that.
And then there was one that was like yellow and orange.
Okay.
And it was a female. And she was like really, really aggressive.
Do they all kind of look the same, like Spider-Man-ish?
They look similar to Carnage, like the black veins.
Yeah.
But that was just like the most. Well, it was just based off powers, It wasn't like the fact that it's alien life form.
Yeah.
Bonding with human DNA, so it's the closest thing to Spider-Man, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's even more extreme being extraterrestrial, so it's just... I can't believe this, you know? Like, such an amazing character.
It's too bad he was never in the Marvel games. Venom was. Like the Capcom ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, that'd be nice. We should write a letter to Japan, Capcom.
Oh, they don't have the rights anymore.
Who does have the rights?
Well, Marvel stopped giving them the rights.
We should...
Because they had Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then that was like the last one.
If anybody hears this from Marvel...
If anybody's listening...
I think they ought to make a movie for the sakes of Carnage.
A movie they could. Because they are rebooting the Spider-Man. Again, they're rebooting the Spider-Man movies.
But I just hope that they do it better, properly. You know, like Venom was really weak, I found.
Oh, and the third movie, definitely.
Like, it was just everything about him. He didn't look proper. He didn't...
And it was the guy,
yeah,
Topher Grace or whatever.
The worst character ever to use. Like,
yeah, they definitely rushed that movie. They should have had him as the one villain of the whole movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. Isn't he worthy?
Yeah, exactly. It's like they always need to put at least 2 villains in one movie.
I think they just got that from Batman Returns.
Yeah, that started the trend, you're right.
And
that was like the second major...
That's probably the only movie I've ever seen that actually deserved that and held it properly, though.
The Dark Knight kind of does it well. But Two-Face dies too quick.
Yeah, but also based on the fact, for instance, Batman Returns, Catwoman turns out to be positive.
Yeah.
You know, like he kind of helps her and she helps him. And you want to see that.
Yeah.
All along. So it's kind of like more story to it than... And plus that movie was just, at its time, like, beyond anything.
Yeah, especially visually.
Yeah, well, just everything, though. And especially Tim Burton, you know. Like, I found a lot of stuff he did after that was just kind of like downhill.
Yeah, how do you feel? Before we wrap this up, how do you feel about Tim Burton in the past, like, 10 years? Have you seen Big Fish?
Yeah, I was really let down. I was hoping...
Oh, you didn't like Big Fish?
Well,
Big Fish was like the last one I really liked from him.
I enjoyed it, but, you know, I found that it was trying to, like, play on Wizard of Oz. And that's
a good point.
That could never, ever, ever, ever be done. I mean, by anyone.
He actually released a movie maybe 2 years or 1 year ago called Big Eyes, about like an artist who did a lot of paintings, but the husband took all the credit. And it was played by Christoph Waltz from Inglourious Basterds. It was actually really good. Like, you've seen Ed Wood, right? It's like Ed Wood, kind of. Like, you know, like, he doesn't normally do serious movies anymore.
Yeah.
But he did this, and it was really good.
Oh, I definitely have to see that. Ed Wood's actually something I wish I owned.
Ed Wood is, I would say, his best film. I'd put it above, like, Beetlejuice. Oh, yeah. Ed Wood is my favorite Tim Burton movie ever.
How do you think you're going to like him more than Beetlejuice 2?
Well, if it actually does turn out to be Goes Hawaiian, Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, well, I think I might like that more.
I'm just really, really, you know, stoked that they're actually gathering the original.
But is Tim doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why I'm so stoked, because...
Is Michael doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, really?
Mike's on. So is Juanita.
Winona,
whatever.
Juanita
Ryder.
I'm gonna need ya. Juanita Ryder.
I have no idea about Gina Davis. I mean...
She hasn't been in much.
Well, the last
she
time
could use it.
Last time I saw her, you know, it was horrific.
Last time I saw her was Field of Dreams, I think.
Well, I saw some sitcom series she was on, and she just looked worse than Joan Rivers, so.
Oh, yeah. Probably got a bunch of work done. And like
on top of the work that was done, like
is Alec Baldwin?
I don't know about that because he's like 400 pounds. Like
He's not that big. I'm bigger than him. He's I don't know. But he's still in stuff. Like he stars in
I'm sure he might. I have no idea for Jeffrey Jones though, because
but he's in jail, isn't
his
he?
brush with children.
Yeah, isn't he in prison?
Yeah,
he should be.
I think so. Yeah. And then
what's her face? She's dead though, right?
Who?
Isn't she the one who played the mom? Oh no, she's not. No, I'm thinking of somebody else. The mother of Lydia.
Yeah, no, she's still around. I heard that she looks pretty horrible though.
Well, that's okay.
But, that's fine. Do
you think the small head guy is going to be in it?
The small-headed guy?
Like that wrinkled face?
The guy that was sitting beside him that he was talking to?
Yeah.
You might see him. I'm sure that the movie's going to revolve around the guy that put the spell on him.
That would be pretty cool.
And that's why I'm really, psyched for this movie. I mean, Texas Chainsaw 3D, they, even though a lot of people didn't like it, and I don't think you could do anything to make the movie any better. That's how well written it was. It's just an issue of acting, but, it's hit and miss. It's, it's one or the other. You either get amazing actors, and that's what makes the movie, or amazing story, and it's just one in a million that you could ever find a movie where you get hand in hand.
Yeah.
So I'm just really hoping that they do this before anyone else does die.
Yeah.
It's
must be 30 years after. No, 25 years after now.
88 or something like that. So at least
that's a long time.
Yeah. But that's the thing too, right? With all the makeup and stuff, I mean, they can do it, right? And just to see that, trademark Tim Burton again. Instead of, these Pixar puppet sort of, James and the Giant Peach. And
actually, you know what? I might take that back. Edward Scissorhands is pretty good.
It took so long for me to enjoy that movie. I couldn't stand it when I was a kid. Partially because I couldn't understand it fully. And then, partially because it was, just, slow, kind of.
Yeah.
But
imagine watching Ed Wood as a kid.
Well, yeah, that too, right? I watched that when I was younger and I just had no idea.
Fucking Bill Murray. When they put him in the pool and they try to baptize him, I guess. Yeah, he's trying to swim. Oh man, Bugsy or something. I forget what his name was. Ed Wood, awesome. So is that it then? Or do you have more? Oh, you have something to say?
For movies? What else? Who else? How far are we?
We're far?
No. Questions. Because we were talking about villains.
Oh, did you want to finish that? 2 more villains for you and that's it. We're leaving after this.
2 more villains.
Yeah. How do you feel about... okay, what about... Who's your favorite villain on the Batman show? The Adam West one.
Probably Egghead.
Egghead? Vincent Price himself. Excellent. Do you remember King Tut?
That's who I was going to say, the Pharaoh guy.
Yeah, the professor, though. He was an Egyptologist.
Yeah.
And he got hit by a pot every time. And then he'd be like, I'm King Tut. He was my top 10.
Really?
Do you remember how they did Two-Face in that show? It was they were going to apparently they were going to hire Clint Eastwood as Two-Face. And it was too gruesome for that show. Because that show was obviously pretty campy.
Yeah.
So they had a guy that just had a fake mask.
Yeah.
Who didn't have a face or something.
Like the opera?
No, he had it was a see-through plastic mask or something. and he would just put it on his face. It was the dumbest thing ever.
I didn't even know that they did Two-Face for that show.
I don't think he was called Two-Face, though. They were going to, but it got like Clint Eastwood. It didn't work out or something because it was too violent, or I don't know. And then they did that. I think it was like No Face or something. His name was. It was pretty bad.
I think I remember that now. It wasn't half his face. It was a whole mask.
It was the whole mask. Yeah,
I remember that guy.
Yeah.
That's why that I don't remember.
It's like a plastic kind of see-through clownish sort of mask.
Yeah.
And he just put it on his
It's like
face.
the thing you see at Halloween, like the smiley face or the sad face.
Yeah, sort of like that, yeah. I think he may have had different ones. Oh, man.
That's creepy.
Yeah. You know, I used to really love Batgirl in that show.
Batgirl?
Oh, man. When I was a kid, I was like, oh, she's fucking hot. Yvonne Craig, she died recently.
Did she?
Yeah.
Didn't you say Eartha Kitt did Batgirl or something? Or...
Eartha was Catwoman. There was 3 Catwomans. There was Julie Newmar, there was another one, and there was Eartha Kitt.
Was she good at it?
Well, fuck, she was awesome. Perfect. Perfect Batman. She did the purr. Oh, Eartha Kitt.
I just remember her from that one Ernest movie. She looks like an aged Aunt Jemima.
She's so small too. It's just like, ooh, hey, Vern, is this Catwoman, Vern? All right, that's it then.
Oh,
unless you want to, how do you feel about Doctor Doom since you like Fantastic Four so much?
He kind of never got to me based on the fact that it was just a guy wearing an outfit. And it was more science and tech.
Does he have any powers?
I don't think
it's just all his suit, right?
It was just science and tech. Like, who was Hulk's arch enemy?
I honestly don't know. Because most of my like superhero knowledge comes from the shows.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't read comics, so...
Yeah, that was way ahead of my time.
I think there's like a lot of crossover. I do know one villain. You saw the Edward Norton Hulk movie?
Yeah.
There was that guy in it who was like sort of like the Hulk.
Yeah.
That's one of his villains.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. No, it just kind of seems like it's just whatever's in the way, like wolves, bears, or like a falling building. Like
it's just like, do whatever you want, Hulk. Just fight something. Oh man, I have these awesome Hulk beta tapes, 2 of them, that I could take out and put into the old Betamax right now.
Does it still work?
I don't know. Another problem with that is you never know if the magnetic strip of the tape actually still
chew it up. Like, is it gonna like eat it up on you?
Fuck, that'd be terrible. You're like, after 30 years, I'm gonna watch it, and then it just fucking
Dudley, the magic trick. No.
Oh man. All right, that's it. We're leaving. That's the end of this podcast. Dan, say goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Oh God.